Now I could fiddle you, but it's sunny, so we're going to take the flying avocado out. We're going to listen to nature. Pheasant upset a vicar, break the speed limit, and break down. But do we get going again? Well, you better watch the video and find out. So here you find me in the conservatoire with the Scot, but we'll go over to the outside broadcasting unit, OBU as we like to call it, and go and see Mr. Tweed out in the field, literally. Hello and welcome to Tweed's Garage. In this video we're not in the workshop, we're outside. It's March, the sun's out, it stopped raining, so I thought I'd bring this out and show you. For those that don't know, this is my 1957 BSA B31. What have we done on this? Not a lot really. Got it running from the person I bought it off of, and then I've just sort of been going through it. Sorted the horrible squealy brakes out, front and back, treated it to a new carburettor, runs really well, and I've been out in it a few times, so I thought I'd take you around it, show you it, and then put you on board and we'll go for a little ride. Yeah, so what is it? Well, it's a 350 single overhead valve, 4-speed gearbox, brake on the left on the proper side, not on the right. Some people would beg to differ, but I just point you towards marching. Yes, you know, when you can naturally march, most people can, politicians can't. Whenever you see them, an army parade, yeah, present company, they walk, they swing their left arm and left leg at the same time. So they sort of march like this. So that's what sort of braking is like on a modern bike, because you've got your front brake on the right, and you've got your brake pedal on the right. So all your braking action is going down one side of your body, which might seem logical, but it's not natural. It goes across the body like that. So right arm, left leg. You get used to it. Yeah, and gear change round the other way. First is up, neutral apparently is next, and then second, third and fourth down. And that's all you need. Why do you need any more? No, you don't want to do 120 mile an hour. It's not sensible. So let me bring you around it, show you the details, and then we'll go for a ride. Yeah, come on in. So let's take you from the handlebars. We've got a nice Smith's chronometer, which works up until about 45, and then the needle goes and takes a holiday up at 120 mile an hour until we come back down to sensible speeds, and it settles back down again. So that needs looking at. Ammeter here, so you can check your state of charge, because yeah, English electrics weren't great and everybody was paranoid that their battery was going to go flat on the ride out. So you've got a little indicator there to tell you what's happening. Well, it indicates what's happening, possibly. Light switch here, side lights here, this position, headlight position there. All very simple. And then we go to the handlebars. Got a few more levers to confuse you. We've got the easy thing, horn button. Dip and high beam switch here. Normal levers, front brake, clutch lever, simply simple. Choke. Now, an oddity of British bikes, you know, because you want to confuse people, keep them on their toes, is the choke, or air mixture as they call it on AMLs of this period, is when it's on, you push the cable all the way in. You know, on modern bikes it'd be the other way round. When it's off, it's under tension, so you pull it on all the way round. So yeah, choke on isn't on, it's off, and then that way is on. Okay, so that's your choke, and then we've got two levers this side. No, we haven't got electronic ignition, we've got human ignition. So this is your advance and retard lever for adjusting the timing. So what you normally do, good practice, especially on big singles, is you retard the ignition, kick it over, get it running, and then ease it forwards to fully advanced. And normally you leave it there most of the time. Occasionally, if you're sort of slogging up a hill, you might want to back your timing back a little bit, give the engine an easier time. But yeah, normal running and that, once it's running and sort of off choke, fully advanced. And then down there, you can't quite see it, let's take you around. Down there is the decompressor lever. Decompressor lever, Mr. Tweed, what is that for? Is that sort of like a spa holiday? Go for a little decompress? No, you pull this, moves this cable, which moves this lever, which pushes your exhaust valve down just a touch to ease compression over top dead centre when you're kicking it over. You want to do that, you want to get it over top dead centre and then give it a good swing. Trouble is, you're in danger of, if you're coming up to top dead centre, it may fire and try and send the piston back down where it came from, throwing you over the bike, or breaking your leg, bruising your ankle. You know, little Johnny Wilkinson down the road got thrown over the handlebars of his dad's Gold Star. He never danced the cha-cha again. So whilst we're down here, we might as well have a look at some of the other items. Got a nice solid quality horn. It's bloody heavy. And then for this, if people don't know, is the mag dyno. So you have your magneto at the bottom and then your dynamo sits on the top. So this gives you sort of hopefully probably sort of 7 to 8 volts output to recharge your battery and just keep your lights going and that. Later bikes use alternators, so it's AC, so it needs a rectifier unit to convert it from AC to DC, and then a regulator unit to control the voltages. On here we just have, because it's DC, you don't need a rectifier, so you just got a regulator unit, sits in the toolbox there. I won't open it because I've jammed tools in there and they'll all fall out. Then going to the other side, we've got our timing cover. So in here you've got your camshafts and your timing gears to drive your magneto, and this is an overhead valve engine, so you've got your push rods in here that go up here to operate your valves at the top. So overhead valve. And then this is what they call a pre-unit. If you ever wonder what a pre-unit is, it means that the engine is separate to the gearbox. The only thing connected between the two is your primary chain in the other side, in that big lovely aluminium case. And then usual thing, yeah, gear lever, as I said, one up, four down, clutch lever, inspection cover, that's where you top your oil up, kickstart, oil tank, because like all British bikes of the era, it's a dry sump engine. So what does that mean? Well, most modern engines, like your car engines, modern bike engines, the oil, you know, you always check it. There's a dipstick in the engine somewhere. There's a sump cast in the bottom of the engine casting, or bolted on the bottom, and your oil sits in the bottom, your oil pump sits there and it pumps it all around. Dry sump means your oil is contained in a separate tank outside the motorcycle here, and you've got your pump in here, and it sort of feeds and scavenges, so it pumps the oil in and pumps it back up to the tank in a circuit like that. That is why whenever you start an old British bike, always take the lid off and check the oil's returning to the tank. So it's a good system, you know, you do your oil change here. Also it keeps the oil nice and cool because it's, you know, not sitting in the engine all the time, and it looks cool. Telescopic forks at the front and 7-inch, I think, aerial front brake, and then same again at the back. Now BSA boys hate the aerial brakes, they despise them with a vengeance. They always go on about the single-sided 8-inch Gold Star unit is a lot better unit. Personally, I'm not swayed by Mark. They work fine. You know, it's a big lung single, it slows itself down, just shut the throttle. You hardly use the brakes, to be honest with you. But since I've cleaned them out and I think they've got new friction material in, yeah, they work fine. Can't see a problem with it. You know, if I was 17, 50 years ago, and had touring cams in it and a huge GP carb and was thrashing the pants off it, yeah, maybe I would have found the limitations of the brakes. But using it for what it was designed for, they're fine. Don't worry about it. Then moving down, got your fuel tank with your single bolt holding it in position. It's quite handy. Nice chrome panels and the lovely BSA red and gold badges. And at the rear we've got swing arm rear suspension. It was originally released as a rigid rear end. Then you had the option of plunger suspension. I think they ran side by side for a while. And then you had the swing arm model. Swing arm model was heavier because of the swing arm, obviously, and the framing, than the rigid and the plunger frames. So they were a bit more sprightly than this, but works very well. And if you think the engine looks familiar, there is some Gold Star in there, mainly the bottom end, but the Gold Star had aluminium barrel, aluminium head, you know, hot cams, a few other bits and bobs. Same frame, but slightly wider swing arm, slightly wider rear tyre. Oh, tool first gear and an unfriendly GP carburetor. So the B31 was produced from 1945 to 1959. Rigid and plunger frame were available 45 to 53, and then the swing arm model from 54 to 59. I think some sidecar chaps preferred the plunger frames for sidecar work, so that's why they kept on being sold whilst the swing arm model was the latest model. Vital statistics are 348cc, 71mm bore, 88mm stroke, so a long stroke engine, quoted 17 to 22 horsepower at approximately 5,500 to 6,000 RPM, so quite high revving. There was the B33, which was 500cc, and then there was the competition models, mainly trials and scrambles, B32 for the 350 and B34 for the 500. Now these B31s were really popular. They reckon they sold in a ratio about 15 to 1 compared to the 500, because the 500 was dearer and dearer tax. So these sold really well, and it's surprising you don't see many of them around. And ones you do see around tend to be, you know, oily rag. They just go on and on and on, these bikes, and you can tell by when I look over this. When this was restored, it must have been a rusty old Hulk that he started off with. Obviously sort of ridden into the ground. It's had a lot of new parts in the engine. It's had a tough old life. You can see there, you can't get away from it. This has had a welding repair here, so it's obviously gone down the road at one time. Either the foot pegs punched a hole in it, or the clutch assembly was so out of adjustment it's sort of eating its way out of the primary chain case. Yeah, there's a sort of lot of pitting on the metalwork, toolboxes, mud guards, number plate. But no, he's done a nice job of it. It was done quite a few years ago. And it's got deep valance mud guards, front and rear, not very racy, and also fully enclosed chain guard, which as I get older, I really like. I mean, you just got to take that bung out there and spray some chain lube through there every now and again. And it doesn't get any dirt and grit in it, just to sort of wear it away. Keeps it all in good order. So all round, a great little bike. Well, not little, weighs about 410 pounds. And because of the cast iron barrel and cylinder head, the weight is really up high. So it can catch you out a bit sometimes, but once you're on it and moving, it's all fine. But they didn't call them British heavyweights for nothing. So all is good in the world, but we've got a few little gripes. It's got a side stand, which would be really handy, because trying to haul it on the centre stand, yeah, the British never really got the idea of centre stands. For one, you can't see it. What was it with the British bikes? Japanese bikes will have a little post, little lug sticking out. So when it's folded up, you can see it, or it tucks around here. So you can see it, just put your foot on it, push it down. No, British bikes, you have to sort of bend down, fiddle around with your foot, trying to find it, you know, and then sort of pushing it down and then heaving all that weight up and over it. It's, yeah, a bit of a chore. So we've got a side stand on it, which is standard because the bracket is all welded on the frame. It's all part of the frame. I've checked it out and that's how they were. But it's just, I don't know whether it's had another stand from a rigid frame or something, but it's just too short. You lean the bike over, it's nearly 45 degrees. You know, and the foot's sort of looking where it should be. And even if you moved it here, you know, if the stop's worn a little bit, it just seems too short. So yeah, any BSA experts, so when it's folded up, it comes to about there. I reckon it needs another inch or two to be useful. So yeah, that's one pain in the bum. You've always got to put it on the centre stand, or because it's a solid old brick, lean it against the wall, which I tend to do. Another little annoying thing is you want to check the points. It's easy, look, the cap's here, and there's a little cutout, primary chain case there, look, so you can get the cap off. Yeah, watch. You can't move this out of the way of the cap. Well, you sort of can, but no, you can't. It's a real pain in the bum. So you've either got to take this cover off to give you a bit more freedom on there, or drop this, you know, check the timing when you've got this off. Yeah, it's really annoying. So this is an overhead valve engine. A normal practice is to do your valve clearances up at the top. But the B31 engine, well, you know, and the Gold Star and the 500, the B34, etc, etc, the bottom end is the same as the M21 side valve engine. So you've got this sort of weird arrangement here that is just like side valve adjustment. You take this cover off and you've got your little tappets, push rods in here, and go in with your little spanners and you adjust your clearances down here. And yes, I know, they're not very nice. I'm going to turn some cheesehead screws up to go in there to make it look nicer, and up there as well. So that's the gearbox. Gearbox is really nice. Really smooth, very rarely miss a change. Up or down. The only thing is, neutral was an optional extra that BSA never fitted. It's not just me, it's a critique of the road reports at the time. You cannot find neutral when you come to rest. Once it's warm, in first gear, you can't just knock it down into neutral. You sort of have to go into second, come back up again, fiddle the clutch, find it still in gear, push it down again, and then by then it's time to pull away, and you end up pulling away in second gear because you're all flustered. But I have been riding it a bit more, and I have discovered the way to find neutral is when you're coming up to a junction or coming to a stop, from second, just snick it up gently, it will go into neutral almost every time. But yeah, trying to do it at a standstill, it don't like it. Another little thing, I know this is sort of standard of the time, but I'm going to look for a later folding kickstart to go on here, because one, this is just waiting to poke a hole in your shin, if you happen to sort of fall over, and 2, it gets in the way when you come to a stop and you know, put your right leg down, you're catching the back of your leg against the kickstart. So that's a little tweak to be done. But they're the only annoyances, I think. Which ain't a lot, is it? So we'll go out for a little ride. I'll strap you on my chest, said the bishop to the actress, and we'll go for a ride. You can see the excitable Speedo. Right, I'll get booted up and off we go. Okay. Fuel on. Timing back. Just over top dead centre. Just advance the ignition there. The speed goes up a little bit. Just do a 15-point turn. It's a bit sticky round here. We don't want to slide out. Right, off we go. Just go for a gentle meander. Just avoiding all the stones that the rain's chucked up. Now the Speedo's a little bit sticky. I noticed that because I popped down to Warminster yesterday, so we'd done a trip of about 105 miles round trip, and the old Advocado performed really nicely. Got us there and back, got us back in reasonable time actually, didn't spare the horses. Oh, the roads aren't getting any better. The killer hill, here we go, around the corner. Clip along. Yeah, so I was going through the villages and the shouty speed limit signs kept telling me I was going too fast. But the Speedo said 30, officer. It really did. So I think she's a bit pothole, a bit sticky. In the Speedo mechanism. Yeah, any experts out there, let me know. Check for potholes. You can see how the novelty of sports bikes has worn off. God. Imagine cracking your rims on some of those potholes. This thing just crashes through them. There was some crackers between Larkhill and Warminster. Could have lost a small child in them. Get over. What is it with people? Quietly past the vicarage. Don't want to upset the vicar. Ducks dabbling. So another annoying, oh there you go, there goes the speedo. Let's give it a lungful. sheeps. More sheeps. The only other little annoyance is it's old school, doesn't have a reserve tap, and yeah, I have run out of fuel until the little memory I heard told by old boys about leaning the bike over to get the fuel. From the other side of the tank. I mean, it works, but it's quite embarrassing leaning the bike right over to get the fuel over. Right, see if we find neutral. 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 There we go. She has been running a bit rich. Gonna have to check that out. So it's all going swimmingly well. Previous day I'd done a trip down to Warminster and back, over 100 miles with no problem at all. And of course filming it, yeah, we had problems. Now I was starting to be aware of it as we were heading towards Odium up some of the hills, and you can see me here fiddling with the fuel tap, thinking it was turned off, but it wasn't. And then we got it up the hill and it settled back down again. And then as I sort of pulled into a junction to go down a country lane, the tick over had got really high. So carried on riding to see if it'd heal up, and then we pulled up and the tick over had settled back down again. But yeah, as I said, it was running really rich. So I started twiddling around, fiddling with the mixture and the idle speed, which seemed to sort it. So headed back off in the opposite direction. But the return journey was a little bit more fraught. Suicidal pheasants, non-indicating old buggers, vans reversing down a country lane. Oh yeah, and this prize tool for not looking when pulling out of a junction. And then carry on with his arm out the window as though nothing had happened. Anyway, pushed on, but as you can see, got to the junction at the main road and the idle had yet again gone up. So fiddled around with it, managed to get it dropped back down again, and then rode into town, to a petrol station and filled it up. And of course, yes, where are they going to break down? Out in public display at a petrol station. So it wouldn't start, pushed it off the pumps, fiddled around with it, got it to run, and then headed off up the road, over a roundabout, and then it finally petered out again. Now, admittedly, this was down to me leaving the fuel tap off, but when I turned it back on again, I just couldn't get it started. So it sort of felt to me like a fuel problem. So luckily I had the GoPro strapped to me and it was still on, so you sort of get to see my process of elimination. So took the main and the primary jet out, dropped them out, checked that they weren't blocked, and they were all clear, they were fine. There was no crud in the bottom of the carburettor, so I really wasn't sure what it was. Everything looked okay, but it was only as I was putting the jets back in and twisting the throttle to move the needle up, when I pushed the main jet in the bottom of the carb and to start screwing it up, it obviously didn't go in quite straight and was catching the bottom of the jet block. And I noticed as I was sort of pushing up, the jet block, which is normally a sort of tight fit in the carb, was moving up, and it was sort of, I found it was moving up with the throttle, and this was the problem. It was it had become loose and it was riding up occasionally, mainly through the sort of friction force of the slide resting within it, pulling it up. But I think there was probably a bit of, when I was riding, probably the airflow going through it, a bit like an SU carburettor, was starting to try and lift it upwards. So I took out a little securing screw, which is teeny tiny and not very long. Couldn't see anything up with that, and because it's all a new carburettor, I could see inside through the hole, see the sort of slot that it went into. So popped it back in, nipped it up, and then tightened it a little bit more, and that was just enough. I felt as I sort of nipped it up, it stopped the jet block from moving. So gave it a few kicks, up and running again, happy days. Packed my tools up, bunged everything in the bag, finished my trip home and had a cup of tea. So there you go, that's my 1957 BSA B31, the Flying Avocado, as I like to call it, with top speed of 120 mile an hour all day long. So hope you enjoyed that. If you did, give us a little like, hit subscribe, and oh yeah, if you see that hype button, give it a poke. It just helps all the small channels try and rise up towards all the bigger channels, try and compete with them. So if you do that, that'll be much appreciated, and we'll see you in another video. Oh, update. I did go and check the carburettor. I undone that securing screw and tried to move the jet block, and I couldn't move it. So where it was, I think it was just where everything had expanded. Obviously the jet block gets looser than when it was assembled cold. So I think it'll be okay. I'll just keep an eye on it, but I know what the fault is when it's sort of occurring. So yeah, that's something to look out for. If something's playing up, I should imagine if you've got old carbs on there, they'll be so gummed up with lacquer, those jet blocks aren't going to move. So I think within another year, I won't have the problem. It was just that screw that secures it is very short, and it only just sort of nips up to it. I suppose so, not to distort it, but just eking it up a little bit more against the case was enough to get it all back in place, secure, and all riding again lovely. So there you go. See you next time. Right, cheerio. Oh, I can't get up. Ugh.